All right. So I did a little bit of traveling and I went to the museum that had this art exhibit. Um, so art exhibit gallery museum kind of type deal thing or something. I don't know. But anyways, so I went and it was pretty cool because they had a few artists and a few different like exhibit little things there that were pretty cool overall. And of course I went to the gift shop and everything afterwards and they had some pretty neat stuff. And of course, I was really excited because they had stuff from Rumiko Takahashi. However, it was nothing, nothing with Lum in it, which I was a bit upset by. But not only that, they had Ranma, they had Mao, they had Mermaid Saga, and I think one more that I can't think of off the top of my head. But then they had One Piece, Oda and all there was some stuff from that too. Ashita no Joe, Your Average Joe, the boxing manga, like they had stuff from that too. Um, the One Piece, they had like one little section with like Bleach stuff in it, but it was only like one or two like painting things, art things from it. And then they had Junji Ito, which was like one art frame, two art frames. Um, and then they had JoJo, a pretty good section of JoJo stuff. So it was like a few, I think it was like eight artists in total or so. I really didn't know who the other ones were, but there was a few of them that I knew that I could look at and be like, okay, I know who this artist is. I know a little bit about them, or I know more about them, like Rumiko, because I'm more of a fan of her work. So I mean, it's pretty cool because like there's a few different artists. So if you didn't like one artist, you're kind of bound to like or know the other artists, which is pretty good. And it wasn't that expensive to get in at all either. And then once you paid to get into this, it covered the whole museum. So I think in the end, I ended up spending like 5 hours, 5 hours or so there, and I really didn't even, uh, not even gonna lie, I really didn't even look at the main museum. It was kind of more of a quick like look through at some of the stuff because I had more stuff to do that day. And so even though I spent 5 hours there, it was pretty good being there for that time. And so um, I mean, yeah, I mean, pretty much like the main thing is like if the only way you would really like it is is if you were interested in like the behind the scenes stuff is what I see. Um, that's kind of like you'll get the most value out of it if you want to see like up close and personal like the art of like different manga that you've seen, not necessarily the anime, even though the anime like JoJo and One Piece, there's a lot of panels and stuff that are really similar, or that it's interesting to see like the differences in how they animated something for the show versus how the original artist intended it to be. So you get like those differences, which is interesting. And so I'm gonna show and then kind of go over something. So I got this print from Ashita no Joe, and this is of course a print. It's a copy of the original, but I mean, if you look at it, like it's in black and white and like the line colors and everything. Um, like you really don't like get to see like the actual picture. I mean, the actual drawing themselves, and that's what you got to see at the museum. Was they had this drawing, and the piece of paper that it's drawn on is actually a lot, and like on a standard sheet of paper it's a lot bigger. So like if this was blown up to proportion, like this would be like massively longer. But what's interesting is like way up here in this section is like the paper is actually like ripped and torn from like being handled and stuff like that. And then there's like white out like splatters and like little ink marks and stuff that you really can't see, like even getting, of course this is a copy, so even if you got up close to this you can't see like the indentation of like the paper and stuff. um and then on top of that, the paper isn't this clean white color, like it had more of a like tint to it. I'm not sure if it's the color, like the decoloring of the paper, because it's an older paper and it's not like an archival grade paper or whatever, because it's an older piece of paper that you could see like the handprint marks and like like the little scuff marks and stuff like that, like when you have a blank piece of paper and you've been drawing on it and like your hand smudges and all that stuff. Like seeing all those imperfections, seeing like the paper torn, seeing like the indents and like the different scoring and hatching stuff like up close, for me it was really really cool to see that. Like you really don't get to see that in this final product. You see the final product, and it's really cool. So kind of like saying like how I said, you get a really good behind the scenes look at the piece of the art, to give you more appreciation of the art, and just to see like how crazy good these artists are. And this really famous, really famous panel, which is no Joe, that I haven't watched the anime or even looked at the manga or anything yet, but I've seen this picture before, and I've seen this reference before, and I thought this was a really cool print, so I picked it up. And the other thing too is like having like print specific areas and like stuff like that. Like here in the States, we really don't get this too much, like with pop up events or stuff like that. Where in Japan, they're like really, really common. So for me to like finally get a special event item that's stamped by like an actual thing, like a pop up would be, or a special art exhibit would be, is pretty satisfying to actually go there in person and finally have something for a special event like that. It is something that's really cool that you really don't get to see a lot of. Um, and then so the next one, of course, a lot more people are a lot more familiar with JoJo, and so again, like the stamping on it. And so yeah, when I was up closer to like because they had this work at the exhibit, and getting up to it, you could see like the butterflies and stuff. The butterflies weren't drawn on the picture itself. However, they drew the butterflies on a separate piece of paper, cut them out, and then glued them to the thing. And like these white little like splatters, kind of everywhere on this one. Um, to me, it looks like huge like globs of paint, or possibly like whiteout. I'm not totally sure. And then like the gradient with like the rainbow in the background, um, like the foreground part is painted with like a thicker, like it looked like acrylic paints, whereas this back part is like a marker. However, um, not knowing that and just looking at it, it would look like it's the same, rainbow, like the same, uh, like paint material, or however used in the foreground and the background, but it's not, so that was really interesting. And like like I said, the butterflies, they're actually like glued on top of the work itself. So seeing that and being up closer to that was really cool to really get like all of the detail and like the little nuances of stuff going on, and like the thicker, like you could see like whenever like the thicker paint, or like marker or whatever is probably being used here to like give that like the shadings and like the details and stuff was really cool to be up and close with the art itself. Just to give you more appreciation for it. And that's really that got like really got the most value out of a lot of this art and stuff. Oh yeah, and then the backs of it has a little thing, which is interesting too, that these were actually printed in Japan and then they sent it over here with the exhibit. Pretty cool. I got this one just to get like, because those were the only two JoJo ones. However, this one I have a hard time looking at it. Um, I don't know if it's just me because like I'm colorblind and stuff, or if it's just like the lines and stuff and like how everything kind of blends together. I really can't. I have a hard time looking at it because I have a hard time distinguishing what is going on in this picture. And they had this one as well in the exhibit, and even with that one, I have a hard time just distinguishing stuff and just telling what the heck I'm looking at. Like, it just everything just kind of blurs and blobs together. But I got it because it was another JoJo one from the exhibit. And then the last print I got was a One Piece one, and this was the only, if I remember right, this was the only One Piece print that they had. Um, but there is a lot going on in this one as well, and it looks really freaking cool. Um, I don't. I think they did have this one on display. Um, Shoot, I don't even remember if they did or not. Um, because yeah, the when you got to like the Oda section, the whole One Piece section, there was a lot of art all over the place for this one. Um, and that's kind of saying a lot because the way they had the art set up, it was just like the four walls of the exhibit for that room of whatever feature artist it was. They would have picture frames with the art inside the picture frame, and just all around the wall. you know so like there's only so much wall space and then so much they could put up. So like even though this one had like a lot of art on the walls, like it's still not a lot of space to have like hundreds of pages. Like it was a few pages per artist, pretty much. But yeah, I don't remember if this one was in there or not, the actual physical one. But yeah, this was the only One Piece one, and it looks pretty freaking cool. So I picked this one up too. Unfortunately, I didn't pick up any of the Rumikos because I think it was just Mao. Even though they did have Ranma stuff, it was kind of too expensive for what it was. Like, what kind of sucked was like the can badges and like the pins and stuff were like $20 a piece. And I was like, I understand you guys trying to make money, but that's a lot for a can badge. So I didn't really get that many can badges, like I wanted to, or like keychains like I wanted to. But, anyways, this art is pretty crazy. A lot of stuff going on. It looked freaking cool. So of course I picked it up. Um, and so that was that. And so that was it for the prints. And then I did get some postcards. So here's a postcard from Ashitano Joe. Really, it looks really good. I think having it in this smaller form factor looked really cool. Yeah, and these were really cheap. These were like $2 a piece. So I grabbed it, and then I got a JoJo one. These are printed really nicely as well. It's this really nice like matte paper. I'm not sure if these were. Yeah, it doesn't say where these were made at, but they feel really good. Like it's nice matte because I know most time when you think of a postcard, it's super glossy, but I really like this hue of the blue. This color looked really nice. And then of course for more JoJo, just those two. They had a lot. I feel like they had a lot more postcards than what they had for like the prints, I believe. Yeah, because there was like a whole rack of these postcards. But these were pretty well priced at $2 a piece. That's why I just grabbed a few on my way out. And then the only other like really like special thing I got was the One Piece only can badge. These are fairly newer like style of can badge where it's an actual like fabric. You could see like it's actually like embroidered and then put on there, which is pretty cool. These again expensive. These are pretty cool. They're not too common. I think there was a Urusura Yatara Lum one that I wanted to get, or it might have been a Rama one that I saw that looked pretty cool. I don't remember, but I have seen some Rumiko art on some of these that looked really good. And I have seen some people accessorize these with like clothing and stuff, and it actually looks kind of cool, accessorizing these with clothing. But I'm probably going to keep this in the packaging from the art exhibit. And then from that, I think that is it. Yeah, that's all I bought. And then of course I got this little bag. Oh yeah, here's artist. Yeah, here's artist on the side of that. Yeah, so pretty cool like art exhibit. Not too bad on price. I think it was like $30, less than $30. So not too bad. And I spent like 5 hours there at the museum, so it was pretty good. I mean, it was a lot of walking around, like looking at stuff. There was even like kids there, like on their field trips, and that was pretty funny. Like hearing the kids walk up to different arts and asking which one had Pikachu on it. I thought that was pretty funny. But overall, it was pretty cool, pretty good, pretty good experience overall, and everything. So yeah, so that's all I got for that one. So thanks for watching.